Good morning. Is this okay? Yeah, thanks for the question. I think I want to thank Robert and Jonathan Kraft for this tremendous opportunity that's been bestowed upon me. Um, continue to work together with Gerard Mayo. It's been really exciting so far. And Matt Groh, Richard Miller, all the people that kind of make the Patriots go behind the scenes over the years. And it's going to be a lot of work, and we're really excited to kind of get going here and um, try to help improve the team and get us back to respectability. My title is Director of Scouting. Yeah, my time in Green Bay meant everything. That's where I learned my foundation of scouting, leadership, how to treat people, how to deal with people, really just everything in terms of the business of football. And it's prepared me for this moment to help the New England Patriots get back to where we need to go. Yeah, well, those players that you mentioned that we had with Green Bay, it wasn't me. It was a collaborative effort, and we were really excited to get those guys. And they've obviously, Greg was a great player, and Devontae continues to, break records, and eventually he'll be getting the gold jacket. Thanks for the question about Marvin. Like, he's a good player. Obviously, there's a lot of strengths to his game, and he can translate into any offense in the NFL. Yeah, Brandon Beane's done a great job with those guys. They obviously have Josh Allen. They have tremendous weapons on offense. They have a really good defensive scheme, and we'll be able to compete with them as we move forward here. They've done a great job drafting, and that's something that we're going to continue to try to do. Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's a lot of options on the table. I'm glad you asked about Mack and Bailey. We're not going to be a program that's talking about these guys in terms of through the media. We're gonna do what's best for the team behind the scenes, and the strategy of that is going to be myself, Gerard Mayo, Matt Groh, and we're going to try to do the right thing for the team.
Eliot, there's a report that Michael Wynn has fired his agent. Is that concerning you at all? How does that affect you guys moving forward?
It doesn't impact us. Mike's a core player for us. That it's no secret we want to try to keep Mike, and it'll just be a little bit of a wrinkle dealing with him. Mike's really smart, and he's introspective, and he's thoughtful, and he understands. He knows what he wants, which is always good when you're dealing with a player. And he's certainly someone that we view as a cornerstone for us.
What do you think of the quarterbacks in this year's class from what you've seen, and are any of them worthy of your role?
I think it's a really good year for quarterbacks. It's a really good year at a lot of positions. Like any position, we're gonna evaluate their strengths and weaknesses, determine who fits for us. We're pretty early in the process here. Like, I haven't met any of these guys. Gerard hasn't met any of these guys. So, as we continue through the process here, we'll determine what's best for the team. And one thing about the quarterbacks in this draft specifically that I'm excited about is they all look like they're really tough guys, which is obviously great at any position, but the quarterback position especially. I don't know how important this week is for that specifically, but I think it's about talking to the right people and asking the right questions, and when we meet with them, asking the right questions. And that may be here in a formal interview, that may be at a later date at the pro day or wherever that may be. But we have to determine who can handle being the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Yeah, that's a great question. I think the key is just having open and honest meetings and dialogue. We had a series of meetings last week that were tremendous for us as we all got on the same page in terms of what our team needs are, and I was actually really encouraged by everybody willing to just say their opinion, even if it was different from the previous person. So having those open, honest meetings and working together to determine the best outcome is definitely what's important. Yeah, of course. I think part of being in a leadership position is understanding the strengths and weaknesses of everybody in the building, and that includes myself. Like I have strengths, I have weaknesses, and it's important to be able to supplement, your team with people who can, feed off of each other.
Evaluating quarterbacks, what attributes do you value most?
Good question. First of all, being a being someone that can elevate his teammates, someone that your teammates want to play for. I think that's an extremely underrated thing that people don't really talk about that much. Leadership's important, and obviously, physical talent. We wouldn't be talking about these guys if they weren't physically talented.
You go through that process. How much emphasis do you place on body language? And have you ever thought about using like outside agencies to, evaluate
Body language on the field is very important at that position. You don't want a guy that's throwing his hands up after a bad play, or you can see him physically, pointing at somebody, or body language is important. Everybody's looking to the quarterback. And as far as outside agencies, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that.
like how they have personality tests and to see like how this personality matches those types of things?
Yeah, I mean we have a lot of tests that we use and resources like that. I don't know if there's one specific to body language that we utilize. I would say that all the options are on the table. We definitely want to keep Mike and Kyle, and we're hopeful to continue to work with Kyle's agent and Mike to make that happen.
How would chain of command building philosophy and system that you want to implement differ from the system you've been a part of the last 5 years?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Is your roster building philosophy and system, how will that show itself as being most different from the system you were a part of the last 3 years?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit more reliance on playing young players. I think it's really important in today's football to be able to play young players and develop from within. Yeah, I would say all options are on the table, and we haven't heard anything specifically.
When it comes to chain of command, Eliot, as you understand it, who's responsible when it comes to that number 3 pick? Who ultimately makes the call?
It's going to be a collaborative effort. Coach Mayo, myself, Matt Groh, the whole staff. At the end of the day, somebody has to make that pick, and that'll be myself. Yeah, I think when you look throughout the league, that's a good question. I think when you look throughout the league, most of the quarterbacks are first rounders. I think there's exceptions to be had, like Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, and Tom Brady. But I think just the league-wide understanding of how important that position is, and how important it is to have somebody there that can help you, win games and get over the hump has changed league-wide. Why do I think the Packers keep getting the quarterback right? Luck. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think the scouting process that that I grew up with, that Brian Gutekunst continues to employ, has been really good, and they've been fortunate enough to sit Rodgers and sit Love for a year, that's been able to help them. I wouldn't say that applies to every quarterback, but it certainly helps them.
Eliot, your father was an obvious mentor for you. What are some of the lessons that he taught you that are still guiding you?
Yeah, I think in terms of scouting itself, it just kind of trust what you see and believe in it. But also really lessons about people. I still believe, and this is great to be able to work with Gerard, who also believes this. This is a people business, and it's about developing people. And the culture is created from the people in your building, whether that's scouts, coaches, players, support staff. And I think that's tremendously important as you try to build the culture that you want. We're going to aggressively try to help the team. Take that however you want it, but we will try to do what's right, whether that means spending or saving. Will TBD.
Just kind of curious, given your football life and who your dad was, what was your first trip to the combine, and what do you remember about it?
Yeah, it's a good question. So my first trip to the combine was 1993. I was 10 years old. This is my 30th combine. I've been every year except for the 2021 when they didn't have it. The combine now is so much more organized than it used to be. I mean, the workout was supposed to start at 10. back in the 90s, and maybe it would start at 1, and everyone would be sitting in the dome the whole time. It was crazy. There were no formal interview times. It was like a big scrum of people grabbing guys. There were scouts and coaches fighting each other because they wanted to interview somebody next. Like it was kind of wild. But it's a credit to Jeff Foster and the league and NFS to putting this thing together. I was really just kind of dipping my toes into scouting and watching the workouts and evaluating. My dad used to sit down at the start of the 40s, and it was him, Bill Parcells, and Al Davis, and I was just sitting there like soaking it all up. Like it was just tremendously rewarding in a you know, kind of as I look back on it, it was, you know, definitely a special time.
Eliot, what should Patriots fans expect from an Eliot led personnel department? What do you believe as far as
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think the main thing is just getting players that fit our culture, getting players that want to do right, want to do the extra. But in terms of just physical skills, we need to weaponize the offense. We need to be faster and more explosive on defense, and you know, height, weight, speed, playmaking ability. There'll be definitely an emphasis on those things.
Pitch to free agents.
Yeah, I would say our pitch to free agents is, you know, this is a new program and we're heading in the right direction. It's a new era. We have leadership with Gerard Mayo that is going to be tremendous. Like he's just an unbelievable leader and developer of people. And I think that, you know, as we move forward with the new offense and defense, like it's going to be pretty special and exciting here.
Eliot, what are some ways that Robin Glazer has been helping out you?
Yeah, Robin's been a good resource for everyone. She continues in her role as chief legal counsel, and she's been helpful with some of the day-to-day behind-the-scenes things that need to get taken care of.
Eliot, do you think, you know, you're just asked about pitch to free agents, questions at quarterback. The team hasn't been very good the last couple of years. Do you think you'll have to pay a tax in some ways for free agents to encourage them to come to New England?
Yeah, in some ways, but I think that's kind of free agency as a whole. Like, you know, teams can put their best recruiting pitch on, and you know, at the end of the day, like a lot of times they'll go to whoever's offering them the most money. So, well, that's a good question too. Like the amount of information that we get here is just so tremendous. Not only the timing and testing, you know, the measurements, the body types, the jumps and all those things, but we get all the medical information. We get to meet with 45 guys formally and countless others informally, talking to agents, getting information, talking to front office people and other teams and scouts, and just the amount of information that we can accumulate in a week is awesome. And it's really a credit to the city of Indianapolis the way this thing's set up too, because everything is like right here. And so, you know, it was 70 degrees out yesterday, but there's no need to go outside here because everything's just kind of connected. But no, it's still a really great resource for us.
The cap space that you guys have in the 3rd overall pick, how involved do you anticipate ownership will be in making some of these big decisions for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they prefer to stay out of football, but they've been very supportive of Gerard and myself and Matt, and you know, anything we need, we've got in a lot of ways. So I think they have opinions which they'll share, but ultimately it's down to Gerard and I.
Have you guys changed, you and Alonzo changed the grading system that you guys are using? Why are you doing that? What do you think the advantage is?
Yeah, so we changed the grading system. It's a little bit more similar to what we did in Green Bay. The previous Patriots system was more, this is what the role is, and this is more kind of value-based. So I think it makes it a lot easier for scouts to rate guys and put them in a stack of like, this guy's the best, this guy's the worst, and everything in between falls into place rather than sort of more nuanced approaches. I just think it makes it accounts value better, and it also makes it easier for the scouts in the fall as well as in the spring to determine where guys will get drafted.
Does Alonzo have a title?
Senior personnel executive.
So just to clarify, the new system will be as specific, like all receivers will be sort of ranked together, all running backs will be ranked together.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, we'll still have slot receivers and perimeter receivers, things like that. To me, it's a little bit less about the grading scale and more about the process that we've put in place. This process is a lot more collaborative. We hear from the scouts more. We're going to be able to determine, together, like what's the best thing for the team at the end of the day. It's actually been really encouraging. The scouts have been really open to it, and they're trying. And some guys have been here for 20 years with the old system. So again, I think it's again for me it's a lot less about the grading scale and more about the process of determining who the best player for the Patriots is.
Eliot, how big was the influence was Ted and those other guys that you worked with in Green Bay? That was obviously a heck of a front office over there.
Yeah, the front office I worked with in Green Bay was phenomenal. I mean, just when I look back at those times, like the amount of guys that have gone on to great success in this league, and Ted was the forefront of that. Ted was so humble and so introspective, and just taking a lot of things from him will help me as I move forward in my career.
How would you define the Packer way?
I'm sorry?
How would you define the Packer way? Something we've heard about over the course of the last month or so. What is that?
Yeah, the Packer way to me is just sort of a draft and develop, extend your core performers from within, and again, it's about honesty, respect, and treating people the right way.
Eliot, one last question over here.
In terms of quarterback specifically, I don't know that I would say it's a benefit or a hindrance. Like I think every person, every situation is different. I think there's something to be said for somebody that's grown and developed in the same scheme for 4 years or 5 years, and I also think there's something to be said for someone who has had those different exposures and has had to deal with that adversity of changing schemes and changing staff. So I think it's an individual based answer.
Thank you, Eliot. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.